you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to The Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Welcome back to The Songwriter Show. I'm your host, Sarantos, a solo artist and songwriter who's always believed in the power of words. Here on The Songwriter Show, we bring you behind the scenes with some of the most inspiring songwriters out there, and we give you a glimpse into the stories that help shape their songs. Tonight, I'm so happy to have on the show Ivey Amour. She's a St. Louis-based songwriter, and she isn't one for diaries or subtweets. Instead, the understated R&B powerhouse gets her due in the studio, where desire, angst, and remorse fuse into empowering confessionals. For Ivey, being her authentic self, even in the face of judgment, is true strength and healing. You catch her enchanting audiences with her vocals and her brazen lyrics, and her upbeat and emotionally driven soundscapes can help draw listeners into her world.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
So welcome to the show, Ivey. How you doing tonight?
Good. I'm very happy to be here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. We're happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit about how did you get started in the R&B genre?
I've always kind of been into R&B. My mom, well, when I was younger, my mom, she used to listen to a lot of like Sierra and Mariah Carey and, Whitney. So I feel like I've always been into R&B and pop, kind of both of them together. I would describe my music more as so.
Okay, cool. And how old were you when you started playing or singing?
I started officially singing when I was like 7 or 8. I would be singing in my room before that. But, and as for any instruments I've played, I think I started playing the piano around like 8 or 9.
How would you describe yourself? Are you mostly about the piano? Are you mostly about your voice? Do you ever play piano up on stage, or is it all about the vocals?
So I'm mainly a vocal girl, really. Actually, recently I've been trying to learn how to play the guitar because I want to be able to play the guitar and sing on stage because I think that's a little easier than playing the piano and singing. So yeah, I've really recently been into the guitar.
I've recently started learning the guitar better than doing stuff in Logic and screwing around. And I actually researched this because I was like, it took me a long time to figure out the piano and play it well. And they say guitar is a lot easier. And again, I'm not trying to offend anyone out there, but just in general, if you know music theory and you can play the piano, from what I have researched and what I have seen so far, it is. But it's still the hardest thing I have is trying to get my left hand on that fretboard, trying to not hit, be next to a string and that. The right hand's doing okay, but the left hand, that's the challenge for me anyway.
That's so funny because for me, I feel like my challenge is my right hand and making sure that I'm like strumming at the right time.
Yeah.
So you struggle with your left because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I've put more work into putting my fingers in the right spots, but the strumming is where I kind of like lack so far. So, but I'm getting better. I'm getting good. It's only been a few months so far, so I'm moving forward with it.
So tell us a little bit about your songwriting process.
So mainly with my songwriting process, I like to work with whoever I'm working with. So on my last album, I worked with actually a few producers. So anytime I'm working with someone, what I like to do is work on the music first, like, the background music, and get it to a point where I'm like, okay, now I can feel this out and I can start writing what I want to write to this vibe. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
with my new song, Why, actually, honestly, though, with Why, it was a little different because I came into the studio with my friend Ben and I was like, I want to write about this lousy guy that I just want to like get rid of. Like, I love that. Like an angry, like, I'm done with you song. And I was like, yeah. So honestly, it really depends on my mood for the day. Like if I have an idea in mind and I'm like, I need to write about this right now, then the writing always usually comes first when it's like that. But sometimes when I'm feeling like I just want to make like a vibe, I feel like the production part comes first.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I oscillate back and forth. I mean, sometimes I'm all about lyrics, then the music, then the mixing, then the those vocals suck. Let me recut them, and it's tough. I get it.
Yeah, but I love it. I mean, my favorite thing about working on music is collaboration. Like when I was making my song Why with Ben, we would go back and forth on ideas and he'd be like, maybe you should change this part to sound a little higher. And I'd be like, no, that doesn't sound right. I think we should do this. And it was a lot of back and forth. And I feel like that's the important part of like music collaboration because to me, I don't think you'll be able to move forward that much if you don't have people critiquing you or you don't have someone like showing you new ideas or better ideas.
Yeah, you bring up an awesome point. I think a lot of indie artists and fans of the show, most of them are not with a label. If you're with a label, you have a whole A&R department and all sorts of critiques and more professional stuff at your fingertips. But I think we all find maybe one or two people we trust. You get feedback. I try to get Reverb Nation reviews, which are 100 or so or 200 of songwriters and fans. And you try to learn from everybody, but that's, I think, the missing piece. I don't know about you, but I want to collaborate. It's hard for me to find people to collaborate with. And that's the hardest part, is you want people to be critical, but then some of these critiques you get, you're like, well, that's way off base too. So I don't know. That's the challenge I have anyways in indie artist.
But I completely agree because honestly, like how you said you struggle with certain people, I feel like that's been my experience for with maybe 90% of the people that I've maybe been able to even meet. But it's actually funny, a lot of the people that I have worked with, it kind of happened like naturally. Like one day I was going into the studio and Ben, he was actually interning at the studio that I worked at. And he was like, yeah, I really love making R&B music. And I was like, that's funny. I really love singing R&B. And he was like, well, that's perfect. Let's work together sometime. And then it just happened. So I feel like a big thing that even I'm still working on is getting out there or even like getting online and contacting artists that you like. Like you hear their song and you're like, maybe we would sound good together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm working on being more vocal with everyone.
Yeah, and again, I don't know about you, but my personal experience in like 12 years ago when I didn't know at all what I was doing, and I would just sing and write lyrics, and I feel like nobody wanted to touch me. And then somewhere in the middle, I'd reach out to people or they'd reach out and I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. But at this point, it's weird because I feel like people get intimidated when you're like, what do you want to do? You want to do R&B? You want to do EDM? You want to do rock? What do you want to do? Great. Here's a Logic file. Here's all like 20 tracks. You want to come up with lyrics? And then I'll tweak them and we can do a duet or whatever. And then I never hear from people again. So either they get intimidated or they're just, so it's weird because you want to work with people a little bit above your level, but I honestly don't have the answer. I wish I did. It's hard to find people to collaborate with. It's hard to find people that I've always been driven. I'm always trying to get better. And hey, I can't read sheet music. Now I can read sheet music and just keep going. And I feel like people kind of settle. Most of the people I've met, they settle with their guitar or their songwriting or something. And they're just either not open to ideas or they want people that want to sound like AC/DC and that's all they want to do. And they're very like focused on just their thing, I think.
Right. I just feel like for me, what I've had to do is that's hard. I've always felt like what I need to do is just be more vocal and just try to reach out, even if I'm embarrassed. Because I understand the side of feeling embarrassed or feeling like, maybe I can't work on this song or like maybe my voice doesn't work with this. I've felt that some with like some producers I've worked with. I don't know. All I know is I just want to keep moving forward and keep bettering myself. So I just have to keep putting myself out there.
Yeah.
I think that's the best advice for like any artist today. Just keep putting yourself out there and don't doubt yourself. And even if, you come in contact with a bigger artist or bigger producer and you start getting nervous, I think it's just best to continue and try your best anyway. Because who knows, you might make a great song out of it, and then you might be top of the charts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's really all you can do. I've been on both sides of it. So I feel bad when people tell me, like, hey, my songs kind of suck or my voice sucks. I'm like, I get that. I still have limitations and not confident in certain things that I'm working on. So I think at the end of the day, I want all of us to get better together.
Well, I think that's why, I don't know about you, but for me, when I was younger, I knew there were some parts of my voice that I struggled with. And so I tend to just stay in the lane that I know that I'm great in. Like, when I was younger, I was more of a contralto, which is like a lower singing woman. And I used to stick to singing like lower songs, like Rihanna songs or like Toni Braxton songs. But as I've grown older and trained my voice and done lessons and whatnot, my vocal range has expanded expeditiously. So now I still continue to stay in my lane, but I also think it's important to, if you know that you're struggling with something, you should just keep working on it. If you really that important to you, you know? Like I listened to, like I said, I sang in a lower range, and one of my favorite artists is Ariana Grande. And
Love Ariana. That's awesome.
yes, and you know how she sings all high. So I would just like choose artists that I know their range is a little different from mine and just keep practicing their songs and singing and singing. And now I just feel a lot more comfortable with my whole range. And I just think everyone should, if it's really that important to you, like even playing guitar or piano or anything like that, just keep working on it and keep pushing.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Do you have like a fond musical memory from your childhood you want to share?
Yes. It's so funny. So, you know, Wicked, the movie.
Yeah.
I was very big in like music back in eighth grade. And my choir teacher, she really liked me. And she just was always really nice to me and giving me parts to sing and stuff and whatnot. So finally, eighth grade graduation came and she was like, I have a song for you and this other girl to sing. And so we sang one of the last songs from the second half of the Wicked play, which is in the second movie that isn't out yet. But I sang For Good with another girl in my class, and I did not tell my family that I was doing this, but I was like, please come to my graduation, just come.
That's cool.
And my mom was like, ah, okay, fine. I'll come, you know, because it was just eighth grade graduation, whatever. So she showed up, and then apparently she was sitting there with my uncle, and they saw my name like on the pamphlet, and they were like, "What's Janelle's name doing here? Or what's what's Ivy's name doing here?" And so basically, then I walked up on stage and I started singing.
That's
And
really
my mom,
cool. Yeah.
so she was so shook, and it was hilarious, and it was a fun day. But that day she was like, all right, we're getting you serious. So after that, I started going to the studio, and that's when I started making music. Back then, I was making music under my name, Janelle, though, but now I'm Ivy.
All right. I'll tell you what, Ivory. Let's take a listen to your song and we'll come back and talk a little more, okay?
Okay.
All right, everybody. Check this out. Here we go.
You got me so confused. I don't know what to do. You say you love me too after all that we've been through. You made me feel so high. You made me come alive. just to show why did I let you get to me? Couldn't you just set me free? Couldn't you just let me be? I won't live this life with you, but I wish you the best. Now give it a rest. I can't keep running in circles, trying to keep up with you like I never moved. Why did I let you get to me? Couldn't you just set me free? Couldn't you just let me be?
Ivy, thank you for sharing that song with us. Tell us what that song means to you.
So why honestly is one of my current favorite songs of mine right now. It is about a guy that I thought was or could have been the one for me. And after hanging out with him, I quickly realized that he was just using me for who I am. And I think it's very hard to let go of someone that you convinced yourself that they were going to be good, they were going to be good in your life, and they were good to you. And basically, why is about going back and forth with why did you treat me like this? Why do I still feel this way about you?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for you to let me go? There's so many why questions that the song is about. But yeah, it's basically about this guy that just kind of won't leave you alone and you kind of don't really know what to do with it. But towards the end of the song, the singer, she definitely figures out what to do about it.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great premise. So, if you could watch only one genre of movies for the rest of your life, which genre would you pick?
Ooh, I would pick, that's hard because I really like romance movies, but sometimes I don't think I would like watching that for my whole life. I guess I'd have to say thrillers because I really like figuring out what is happening. Like right now, I'm watching, okay, this isn't a movie, but right now I'm watching Severance, and I really like how the show is just you figuring out what they even got going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have to say thriller.
If your music was a specialty drink, what would it be?
Um, I guess, does it have to be an alcohol drink?
No, it could be anything. No, it doesn't have to be
Okay.
alcohol.
I was gonna say, I guess my music would be like kombucha because not everyone likes kombucha, but people that like kombucha really like kombucha, and it's really good for you.
Yeah, okay. Like, what's the weirdest merch that you've ever sold to your fans?
I don't have any merch that's like too weird. All my merch, I guess, maybe I'd say a hat that says Hayes, Ivy, Amour on it, but nothing crazy, honestly.
Is there an instrument you wish you could learn instantly?
Besides the guitar,
Yeah.
maybe a saxophone. I really like brass instruments, and I think saxophones are really cool. And if I could play the saxophone, oh, I would. I don't know what I would do with that skill.
Yeah, that'd be kind of badass when you say, "Oh, I play the sax." Like, it gives you like street cred, I think.
Yeah, and it's so, I really like jazz and I like how free jazz is and how a saxophone sound. I don't know, just everything about it. I just think it would be really cool
Yeah.
to know, be like, yeah, I play the saxophone.
I got two more questions for you. If you could be any animal, which one would you be and why?
Oh, I would 100% be a lion.
A lion. Okay, why?
Because I really like cats, and I think being a lion, I don't know, I watched The Lion King recently, and I really like how they live. Like they have, the king, and then they have like, well, that might just be the cartoon, but still like I don't know, they're very respectful and they're pretty. Like the lions and their manes, or even like the lions without manes and the baby cubs. I don't know. There's just something about lions and leopards and cats and panthers that I just think is really cool.
I love The Lion King, so that's a great choice. All right, the last question night for you. Where can people stream your stuff and buy it or check it out?
So my website is ivyamourmusic.com. IVEYAMOURMUSIC.com. And you can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube, basically anywhere, even SoundCloud. You can find my new song Why on there, and you can find my EP from last year, Haze, on there.
All right, cool. I want to thank you so much, Ivy, for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, to all the listeners out there, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your precious time with the two of us tonight. We know you have choices, and we thank you so much for being a part of the Songwriter Show tonight. If you're an artist with a story to share, please fill out the guest form on songwritershow.com. To the rest of you, I hope you'll join us next time every single Tuesday evening as we continue to uncover the inspiring journeys behind the music. Here's to creating and connecting and letting all of our stories be heard. Have a great night. I love you all.
Maybe fairy tales don't happen for a guy like me. The sand in my hourglass slips away. There's no easy way to say I hate my life, the time I've lost what I've become, the failure I can't outrun. Why can't we stay young forever? There's a place I leave it all as I step inside, and I get lost in the pixels of light dancing across the screen. I wish that was me up there. I wish that was my life. I wish the pixels of light would take me away tonight. The sharpest words are always my own, and most nights I cry alone. I just never learn, make the same mistakes, don't know what life means. And most nights I go in silence, not dreams. Why can't we stay young forever? There's a place I leave it all behind as I step inside, and I get lost in the pixels of light dancing across the screen. I wish that was me up there. I wish that was my life. I wish the pixels of light would take me away. This is always the place I'll leave the world. behind as I step inside. And I get lost in the pixels of light dancing across the screen. I wish that was me up there. I wish that was my life. I wish that all the pixels of light would fly me away tonight.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.